Hey guys, welcome back to another podcast and episode of the Get Your Happy TV. If you're watching me on YouTube, I wanted to bring back one of my most popular tuned in episodes, and it was actually one of my very first episodes, which was fear. How much control are you giving to fear? I thought this would be an really good podcast to bring back, especially for the new year. When I brought this one out, it was actually in the middle of the year when I first launched my podcast, but I think this is really, really good to bring back. So let's get started. So, fear. How much control are we given to fear? And we start the new year with goals, resolutions, ideas, vision boards, all of those things in mind. And so sometimes, as we know, I'm going to use a scenario throughout this whole podcast, and that being, fear can sometimes take us away from what we are looking to achieve or accomplish, right? And so the scenario that I'm actually going to use here is my first experience, a first class speech class. I had to public speaking class in college, and how I had to use fear to really move through it. Get myself it captured me in the beginning and what I learned from it. And I think this would be great because if you have something that's really holding you back, whether it be buying a home, taking your first trip out of the country, stepping into the gym for the very first time of the year, or, really just putting yourself out there. Sometimes that can even be challenging. It's really putting yourself out there. So what is fear? It's an induced motion, chemicals in the brain that causes change, a change in our behavior, which really makes us want to run away. Okay, those symptoms of what we may feel, our hands may get clammy. We start to feel, anxiety. We start to feel, shortness of breath. That really just fight or flight reaction. So here I am in my speech class, and in order to pass the course, we had to get up and we had to speak. Oh my goodness. I was very nervous. I'm saying, here I am in front of these people that I don't know, and I need to, demand the room for, 900 seconds. It was impossible for me to really think of. And, so fear, really just took over. My hands were clammy. I was shortness of breath. I started to have anxiety. And so, those are what those, symptoms are. You ever had to, send a text that you maybe didn't want to send, or have a conversation you maybe didn't want to have, talk about, and you start to really have that fear. Maybe, you're going for a promotion and you're afraid to talk to your boss. Those are the feelings that you may have because of fear. Okay, so what happens is you come into this fork, right? There's that fork in the road. Either I want to face everything and rise, or maybe I just want to, just run. Do I want to face everything and run? So that is the feeling. Do you send that text? Do you have that conversation? Do you have that conversation with your boss? And for me, it was, gosh, do I want to get up there? Is it even worth it? Is it even worth it taking this class? So those are the feelings that you have. Do I go or do I stay? So let's talk about the feeling, the meaning of facing everything and rise. You really got to think about, okay, if I'm going to face this thing, right? If I'm going to face it, what happens? And so you're going to convince yourself that you can. You're going to have the milestone to the big picture. You're going to practice in the mirror, and you're going to be open to feedback. So, make sure you have something to write with. Really write these down, because I'm going to go a little bit into each one. And I'm going to use my examples as well. Okay, so if you have to pause this and go back, make sure you do that. All right, so when I was taking the speech course and I'm figuring out my topic and I'm writing everything down, as you should be, and I really had to convince myself and know that I have value, right? So if you're thinking about sending that text, or you're thinking about having that conversation, or you're thinking about going into that gym, you really need to convince yourself and know that you have value. Okay, so how do you do that? Positive affirmations, right? Accept, love, and imperfections. That and that you have amazing qualities. Accept whatever it is you think is not up to par, and you turn that around, because actually it is up to par. You're unique for your very own right. And accept your own strength and your challenges. And that's what I had to do. Okay, I knew that I had humor, and I knew that I had great content, that I had something to speak about, but on the other hand, I said, wow, what if I'm not that entertaining? And that was even something with creating this podcast myself, or these YouTube channels, videos. I really had to tell myself I have content, I have valuable content that someone out there is looking for, right? And so that's what you really do, is convince yourself, and you use those positive affirmations, put them to work. Another good tool here is you want to eliminate the word try, and replace that with can. Sure, I can do that, or I will do that. Okay. And even, get rid of the word can't in your vocabulary. So you got to get rid of some of those words that are already setting you up for your exit, for your facing everything and running, right? So this is one of my very, 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 very favorite quotes. This is a quote by myself, right? So when you understand and accept your value, you act and accept accordingly. Write that down. When you understand your value, you act and accept accordingly. Okay, and so that's what you have to do when you are about to face everything and rise. You really got to understand your value. And so the next thing here is milestones to vision. So figure out the vision. If you're going into the gym the first time, maybe your vision is to, have a slimmer, stronger you. You want more muscle tone. You want, more definition in your legs, or your definition in your arms, or your chest, or your back, whatever it is, or your butte. Or, maybe, your vision is to, have bigger space. Maybe you've always lived in a studio apartment and you want bigger space. You have a dream to put this big, big screen TV on the wall. Or, maybe that vision is, just feeling liberating in a new country, and exploring the culture. So think about that milestone to vision. And that's what I had to do. I knew for me in this class that I wanted to graduate. That was the big picture. I wanted to walk across the stage. And in order to do that, I had to pass this class, and I had to get up in the front and discuss, the topic that I was looking to present. Right? So really dissect the big picture into small milestones. So don't always focus on the big milestone. Have an idea of what it is, but then you want to dissect it, right? Maybe that means that I need to go to the gym twice a day. Maybe that means I need to go to the gym, twice a week, or 3 times a week. Or maybe this means that in order to present the idea to my boss, I need to, write it out, and present it in a presentation. So really just dissect it. I knew that it was my turn to, I had to research my topic, right? I had to, present it to friends and see what what their thoughts were. So really just prioritize your milestone. So the next one is you want to practice in front of the mirror. I'm not the only one, I'm sure. So practice in the mirror. Right? Practice in the mirror what you're trying to achieve and what it's going to look like. And so that's what I did. I made sure that if I was going to get this presentation done, I had to see what I looked like to everyone else. And, it gave me an idea to see myself, my mannerisms, So make sure that you get in there and you practice in front of the mirror. So if you're thinking about presenting something to your boss, go in front of the mirror. Like I said, go in front of friends. So, maybe you're trying a method in the gym, practice in the mirror. We always look in the mirror when we're, lifting weights and things. So make sure you practice. This will, like I said, it'll allow you to see yourself. You can map out any new ideas that come along the way. So if, something else seems like it doesn't fit, you can take that out and add something in. Or if something feels like it's too much, you can just cut it out altogether. So after I get up there and, I present my speech, the day has come and I'm up there and I'm presenting and, I'm sweating, I'm nervous, but, not as much, only because I did the work. And that is the key. You got to do the work whenever there's fear coming up, right? Practicing in front of the mirror, making sure that, I dissect my milestones, right? Making sure that I'm ready to face everything and rise. I know what part of the fork that I'm looking to go, right? So the last thing that you have to do whenever you are doing something new is you must be open to feedback. Right? So I'm presenting and, I'm done and I held the room and I'm feeling good and I'm doing it. And right at the end, I knew that I had to be open to feedback. I had to be open to criticism because this lets me know if I wanted to do it again, that I had to take some of that criticism and move on. So make sure you're open to feedback. Right? Consider all the constructive criticism that you're getting. So so at the end of the presentation, every person had to write on an index card, what they thought of your presentation. And for me, I remember them saying, Tanya, you say a lot of ums, or, make sure you look up when you're speaking. And so for me, now that I knew that I was going to be speaking more often, and, that I wanted to make a career out of it. And it was what I knew that I was supposed to do. I knew that I had to take that information and make it work for me and practice and continue practicing and being open. So make sure you're not closed off to whatever constructive criticism that come your way. So it's not always bad. It's really just assisting you for your job going forward. So that is it for fear, and, making sure that you can really attain your goals and your resolutions and your new ideas without fear controlling you. So that is it for this podcast and this episode. I'm really excited that I got to bring this one back because it was really popular. And I got a lot of good feedback on this episode. So before I go here, I want two things. I want you to tell me which one of these tips is going to help you going forward with achieving your goals, your resolutions. So make sure you comment below if you like this video. And one good quote, one juicy quote here. It's by the wonderful Les Brown. And it says, so many of us are not living out our dreams because we are so busy living out our fears. Do not let that be one of you. Don't let it be you in 2018. Really go after what you're looking to achieve. I know you can do it. So gratitude for anyone who continues to listen and to my podcast and my TV episodes. It means so much to me. I really, really value you. I really, really do. Thank you so, so much. And remember to live abundantly, love your authenticity, and radiate some good old organic happiness. Pleasure.